Pranam everyone. Today we are going to empower ourselves with the strength card. This is the Major Arcana 8 card. And before we start, I just wanted to say that in many tarot decks, uh, the card 8, which is strength, and the justice card, which is card number 11, are interchanged. Most decks use card 8 as strength, but there are some decks in which this order is interchanged. And the reason being, 8 is considered a very karmic number. It is perhaps the most karmic number. And, even if you see the structure of the figure 8, you see it's completely bound. Compare that to other numbers, they seem open. This here, you're like completely bound. So it just it just feels like no one can escape their karma, and which is why and karma is also justice, so they use this interchangeably. um so we are going to uh, but I'm following the Rider Waite cards because they are the traditional tarot cards, so i'm going to I'm going to stick with card number 8 as strength. Also, astrologically it makes sense to me because we had in card number 7, we we studied Cancer, and that was the Chariot. It was about being using your emotions with wisdom, and to take all your scattered emotions uh, and direct them towards whatever choice you had made. So now we come to the Leo, and which is why you see a lion in the strength card. Now, 8 is also, if you make the 8 sleep, it also becomes a lemesticate or a sign of infinity. Now, do you remember another time you saw the sign of infinity on someone's head? In the tarot deck, of course. That was the magician. So, this shows that this woman in the picture, as well as the magician, are both directly connected to the source. Okay, the source of all that there is. Now, this is the classic Beauty and Beast. You have the beauty who exemplifies a beautiful heart, and that beautiful heart is manifested outward in her external beauty. She's someone who's extremely loving. And the beast it can be the beast in us, or it can be the beast outside, or it can be the beast in us that is manifested outside in a life situation. you know we have so many things in us which if we do not embrace and harmonize, it can be like a beast. Lust, greed, passion, fears, guilt, even our sexuality, they all, laziness, all these can become beasts. So here we have a woman who's taming the beast, and she's doing it in a very creative fashion. Because generally, when you think about a beast, what do you think? You think that you see a lion free, you're like, oh, okay, he needs to be tied up, he needs to be caged, we need to use a whip. So, all this, we think of brute strength. And this is exactly the opposite. The woman is almost angelic. She's fragile, she's vulnerable, she's loving, and yet she's connected to the infinity. She's connected to the source of all there is, and which is what gives her this strength. Actually, the word lust comes from this word luster, which is radiance. And and if we are in our strength, in our power, We have this natural luster on our face. Have you seen there are people who they go through a crisis and they go through the most challenging situation, and if they have really embraced it, if they have taken responsibility, if they've given 100%, you will see a rare luster on their face. Just 1 minute, I think my strength has woken up. In fact, the glow on your face is a measure of your Shakti. The more Shakti you have, the younger you will look. And, um, but if you grow in awareness, if you grow in consciousness, that is different. People can grow in both also, but if you grow in awareness, if you grow in consciousness, then you'll become very wise. It will reflect differently on your face. But if you're growing in Shakti, you'll definitely start looking younger. There's so many people, it's almost like reverse aging, and that is just because they have grown in Shakti. So, one thing I want you to know is that this is a this card is a card of 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 really thinking outside the box, of very coming up with a very creative solution. It is a card of empowerment. Um, it is the card of inner strength. It is the card of being vulnerable, of being soft. It's and yet drawing on that inner strength. This is not brute strength. The brute strength is actually the beast that this person is taming. And so you can see that the inner strength, the connection to the source, is all a higher it is a higher source of strength than the brute force. I remember when a very very challenging time when Ishan was going through open heart surgery, and it's a very long, it's about 6 to 7 hours, and I was at some point I was uh, outside the hospital, and I was just on the road, and it was winter. It was January, so it is winter here in US. It was really cold, and I could see that I actually saw that through this concrete, right? I was walking, and through this concrete, I saw this one little flower. Perhaps you people will even call it a weed, but this little flower that had risen up. And I was thinking, oh my God, that it is cold. There is concrete. There it is, on the footpath. So anyone can just trample it. And yet, this flower is there to bloom. And I thought, what strength, what strength. And this phrase came to me, and probably I was thinking of the Osho Zen, but I wasn't connecting the dots at that time. But I felt that this is a flower, and I looked at the sun, and I'm looking at that flower, and I'm thinking that this flower is way more radiant than the sun. It is shining with the light of 1,000 suns. And that flower was so inspirational to me. I thought, oh my God, if this flower can do it, maybe I can too. Um, I will never forget that moment. In fact, this is the card I have gotten the most. This card 8 in all my years. This is the card I have gotten most frequently, and it is always a signal to draw upon that inner strength. And yeah, that is what it is. Now I'm going to talk about the highest Shakti and consciousness of this card, the feminine, the feminine symbol of universal power, and that is Durga. I I feel I feel I'm so insignificant, so small to even talk about this. It took me the longest time to even muster up the courage, which is also it is also this card also means courage. Uh, because I feel it is very audacious to even talk about such a such a Shakti. But I will. So Dur means, if you break up the word Durga, Dur means something that is far away. It is inaccessible. Ga means something that you pass through. So this is Durga means something it is almost impossible to pass through. Durg was also known as a fortress, an impenetrable fortress. And one thing I always thought that, to kill Mahisasur, why was a feminine power Devi necessary? He was just brute strength, so why not masculine powers? And then that got me to thinking that what is feminine? What is femininity? And the answer is, of course, that the feminine means a vessel, a crucible, a receptacle, because the most feminine quality is the receptivity of a woman. So, so then I started thinking that what kind of vessel is Durga? What kind of receiving vessel is Durga? And the answer is it is an indestructible vessel. It is a warrior vessel. It is a fort. A fort is also a vessel. So she is uh, so then, and in this vessel, all the most powerful masculine powers in the cosmos give their Shakti and their consciousness to. Shiva gives the trident, Vishnu gives the conch and the discus, the Sudarshan Chakra, Varun gives his nose, Indra gives his Vajra, Vayu gives his bow and arrow, Brahma, I think, gives his lotus, and Kumara. So everyone gives their highest weapon, or their Shakti, and and then Durga is created. So this is an unbelievable, like, creation. And then I thought that why can't all these gods fight together and defeat Mahishasur? But it is not the same, because if they all fought against Mahishasur, they would all be independently fighting. And but that is not the case. When they create Durga, all their energies, all their Shaktis, they merge in this crucible, and which is why you need a really, really strong vessel to even receive and to hold all this male consciousness. So it is really remarkable. It is really remarkable. You can just imagine what kind of vessel that has to be to hold and to blend. And this is one of these messages of this card, is that uh, you know in what is the strength of a group, what is the strength of a community? It is when all people, they bring their individual talents, but then they become one. It's not even that they're fighting side by side, they literally have to become one. And then it's like 1 plus 1 plus 1, it's more than infinity, where the sum is more powerful than just the addition of all the parts. So uh, so this is the Shakti of Durga.